Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday Western U.S. regional forecast video brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, some of us out in the Pacific Northwest are waking up to a pretty chilly morning here. We actually saw some temperatures getting down into parts of Oregon and parts of Nevada and parts of Northern California that were approaching the freezing mark. You can also see some pretty cool temperatures up here in parts of the Columbia Basin as well. So that's why the National Weather Service had actually issued in parts, this part of the country where we've seen some frost and freeze advisories early this morning. Well, don't get too used to these cooler temperatures because things are about to change. But the flow pattern that's got you in this cooler pattern is looking something like this. The jet stream's coming across just like this, and it dips into this trough that built into this sizable ridge in the midsection of the country. But it's the cooler air that's tucked inside that trough that's given us a pretty cool morning this morning. Well, as we progress forward, if you're waking up, you're seeing some showers there along the coast of Oregon and Washington. That's because inside that trough, we're bringing in quite a bit of Pacific moisture here. So widely scattered showers in that area early in the morning. But we'll see across much of the Pacific Northwest today quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity. Looking over the last 3 days, just taking a look at where we did get precipitation in the western United States. Been very stormy in and around the Four Corner states, as you can see here, especially down in New Mexico. Quite a bit of rainfall down in that corridor. But as that trough has come through, we can see where we've pushed a lot of rainfall through parts of Oregon, Washington, Idaho there, getting up into Montana. And certainly even parts of the Snake River Valley picking up some of this rainfall. California, we spent much of the last several days here relatively dry compared to normal. And that's good. We should be dry this time of year, and given how full our reservoirs are and what the mountain snowpack is, we are perfectly fine right now with respect to our water picture. But I want to throw a picture on top of this. But first, I'm going to get rid of some of these drawings. I want to show you where we grow winter wheat here in the western United States, because right about now is the time where we could get these fantastic rains that come through. I'm thinking about the Palouse near Yakima Valley, getting up Moses Lake. This area right in through here. Any rain that we can add right now before we harvest is good. Of course, a rain during this week is not so good if you're trying to harvest some hay, but outside of that, it's good. So we brought rain in a couple of places here where we really would want to have it right before we get ready to get this wheat out of the ground. So that's at least a plus to some of the rain and cooler weather we've seen right now. As we progress into the forecast here, we're going to be watching for a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity here in the Pacific Northwest, but then getting over here into parts of Montana, Wyoming, then back into the Central Plains, which is really more of our Corn Belt region. That's where we have our biggest risk for some severe weather. You will also see right here along the front range of the Rocky Mountains some strong to severe storms as well, and that of course gets down into New Mexico. So to kind of show you what this looks like, we're going to begin here at 6 a.m. on Friday and take you all the way out to midday on Saturday. You can see the widely scattered showers and storms expected across the Pacific Northwest today. That then gets into parts of Idaho and over into parts of Montana. So this is just the effect of that deeper trough that's sliding through there, providing the lift. The mountains also lift in some of the air, but we're going to destabilize, and don't be surprised if you see quite a bit of pop-up showers and thunderstorms, some of which could be severe as you get over toward Montana, eastern side of Montana, getting into the Dakotas here. So that is really what we're looking at in terms of precip. It's, in terms of coverage, it's really only the Pacific Northwest is going to be dealing with it in the day today on Friday and through the day on Saturday. Okay, latest drought monitor. Well, we're glad to be seeing some of that rainfall here, especially into parts of western Washington, because that is a particular corridor that we've been watching now for months that has been on the dry side and stayed on the dry side. So any bit of rain we can get in there is fantastic just for the overall water picture. Outside of that, though, in fact, the whole country is looking fantastic in terms of its drought picture. Even the drought you see down here in the southeast is being eroded away very quickly with a lot of rainfall the last few days and much more to come over the next 3 to 4 days. So that's kind of a look at our latest drought monitor update here. But let's come back to those temperatures. Your high temperatures on Friday today are looking pretty chilly in parts of the Northwest. We see high temperatures struggling to get here through the mid-60s. But watch as I click play on this and take you out through the next several days. This always plays so fast, but let me just take you back. Watch this. Ready? So here's Friday. Saturday, the warm-up starting. Sunday, look at the Central Valley of California, well over 90 degrees here. We'll talk about that in a few seconds. By Monday, we start to see upper 80s spreading now all the way up into the Columbia River Basin. We got upper 80s all throughout much of Oregon here. And then as I stretch you out to Wednesday, now we've got in the Columbia Basin there, we've got temperatures deep into the 90s. And that tends to hang on through much of the end of next week. So I want to talk to you about what's changing to bring in some of that heat. That trough we're dealing with now, that's what keeps us cool in this section of the country through the next 5 days. And that's the map you're looking at there over on the left. But look at days 6 through 10. This is going to be a rapid accumulation in the Pacific Northwest. This is going to be a rapid accumulation down in the Central Valley of California of the accumulation of growing degree day units. So this is a time of year that, especially for a lot of our row crops, we want this. We want to bring in some heat to really get those suckers going. So I'm talking potatoes, onions, sugar beets, all growing there in the Pacific Northwest, plus what we're doing with our wheat. As you get down in the Central Valley of California, though, we start to see some of these temperatures, and some of them are getting quite high. As you notice here, this is from the National Digital Forecast Database. While we start off the day on Friday here without seeing too extreme heat, as I click play, you just saw it there. Watch this. So this is Friday. As we get into Saturday, we're getting into the upper 80s, lower 90s. But look, by the time we get into Sunday, our high temperatures are topping out in the middle to upper 90s. By Monday, look, we're topping out around triple-digit heat across much of the Central Valley. And that tends to hang around on Tuesday and into Wednesday as well of next week. So we've got some heat coming in the next few days here. And we're now getting to those temperatures that are much, much, much above average. Now, we got to be talking about heat in the Southwest, because at the end of this video, I'm going to be discussing what I currently see with the progress of the southwestern monsoon. So we actually need to be building in this heat to kind of get back toward our climatological normals. But if we stretch this out to days 11 through 15, so day 11 through 15 in the forecast here, we still tend to hang on to our warmer bias. And in general, we do see a ridge that is going to be sitting across much of the West United States. But there will be a time period in there where there's going to be a little trough that sneaks underneath this. And when it does that, we could get for a little while here another southeast ridge, southwest trough setup, keeping much of this section of the country very wet and unsettled. But that's pretty far out in the forecast. But you will see when I animate this forward in a few minutes, Idaho, Montana, looking out into week 2, things are looking kind of wet there. We'll talk about when and where just in a few moments here. Now, to show you this pattern, you see the deep trough we're in the Northwest right now? Well, watch as I click play. You're going to see the changes in this pattern pretty quickly. There it is. See the ridge building out west? That's the heat coming on starting this weekend and really getting going next week. Now, with that trough that's sneaking through parts of, you kind of look up there in the upper left-hand corner, right near the Aleutian Islands, that's coming through, but it's going to primarily stay in the Gulf of Alaska, meaning that we're going to be seeing probably through the middle of the month warmer than average conditions, simply because we're maintaining these higher than average heights, and no really deep troughs are right now seen coming through the flow. And even as I get you all the way out here to the middle of June, we see the positive height anomalies in this area. But what we kind of want to start seeing to see the southwestern monsoon come in is we want to be seeing more of a pattern like this where we're ridging in this area. The ridging in that area, if it does set up by the time we get to the end of June and into July, yes, it brings in heat, it brings in high evapotranspiration rates, it also brings in the risk of fire, but it's a part of the normal climatology of the West United States weather. And so to bring in that monsoonal flow, we would want to be seeing this, okay? We'll talk about more of that in just a few seconds. In terms of precip, now this is just showing you what fell early in the morning on Friday, but as I click play, you're going to see a large ridge kind of dominating things here, and the precip has to go around it. So you can see there that we're not expecting too much in terms of rainfall over the coming days. Now, after this system, I'm talking, of course, after the current system goes through. Now, what you're going to notice here is late next week, watch this, watch parts of Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. See the increase there? That is a time period where a little shortwave trough kind of sneaks through here, providing some decent upper level support for more precipitation over in that area. But outside of that, California, notice that you are moving through the middle part of June, very, very dry in terms of precip, but that's very normal for this time of year. I think the big question we're all trying to answer is, when is the southwestern monsoon going to get here? Now, in order to start to develop lower pressure here over parts of the Four Corners states getting into Nevada and California, we've got to build in heat. So hotter air is less dense. When we bring that less dense air in, what it does, it starts to funnel in the moisture from both the southwest and the southeast, bringing those daily showers and storms that we normally get end of June, but July, August, and September. So we got to be watching out for that. Why we've not had much discussion about it, your last 30 days has been very cool compared to average over this area. So that's why there's been no early season discussion about extreme heat in the southwest, and as a consequence, we're going to be a bit delayed in the start of the monsoon, or at least we're going to not allow it to start anytime soon. So that's kind of the bigger picture here as we just look at what our precipitation patterns are going to maybe shape up like as we progress into summer here. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this forecast video. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to our next Western Regional forecast. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.